Assassin's Creed 1 from 2007, the birth of one of the most egregiously large franchises in all of gaming. Despite being the beginning of it all, I've heard even the most diehard Assassin's Creed fans say, don't bother playing the first one, just skip to 2. But I figured since I have all of these games in a massive daunting stack, I may as well find out for myself. Let's just get into it. The game features an epilepsy warning, which is immediately put to the test. It's safe to say anyone with epilepsy who didn't pay attention to the warning was no longer playing the moment the game began. The controls pop up on screen, but the game is such a dizzying mess that you can't even test them out. Until we're pulled out of the simulation, introducing Desmond. That opening confusion does a pretty good job at putting us in his position as a lost, confused man who now conveniently needs all of the logistics and exposition of how the Animus works to be explained to him. It's a load of sci-fi nonsense about genetics holding memory that really boils down to more or less being the story Ricky and Steve made up about being able to see the memories of crabs on the beach.
A newborn crab that had every memory that any crab had been related to it beforehand.
So not even ones that had been eating the silicon stuff.
So now that we've had all of the sci-fi information dumped on us, we get to have all of the gameplay information dumped on us in this tutorial section. I'm pretty glad there's a set tutorial like this because the game does try a lot of mechanics. This combination of blending in parkour, stealth, and hiding game mechanics is really what set Assassin's Creed apart back in the day, and I can see why. It is safe to say every single one of these ideas has been done to death since, but that's not the point. Now we have our first real memory block for the lead historical character in the game, Altair. I'm pretty sure that's how you say it, and if I'm wrong, I'm sure I'll get torched in the comments. We instantly establish that he's an assassin who kind of doesn't give a shit.
I don't give a shit.
He just does what he wants, killing innocents and boasting about his skills seconds later. He's been sent here by the Creed to retrieve something important. Now let's talk about all of these DNA symbols popping up during cutscenes. This is something that I'm not too keen on. Basically, every time they appear during a cutscene, you can press a button to view an alternate angle. This just feels like the game lacks the confidence in its cutscenes to be engaging enough as they are, and like it's just trying to hold the player's attention with something to do. Altair confronts these guys and ends up getting his fellow assassins killed. Why in the they chose to just walk up to them, I have no idea. I know Altair doesn't give a shit about the rules, but you'd still think he'd be stealthy and sneak up. He is still an assassin at the end of the day, right? Anyway, they spare our incompetent hero so he can return to his master and deliver the message that we may as well give up. And I guess they also spared him because if they killed him straight away, we wouldn't really have a game now, would we? We do some parkour to get the hell out of here, returning to the home village. The game looks solid considering its age. I'd say it's technically about as good as it can be for when it came out, and the art design is alright enough. It's by no means striking or exciting to look at, as the color palette is pretty gritty browns and grays, but despite being nearly 20 years old, the graphics don't hold me back from wanting to play it all, which is good enough for me.
It is acceptable.
As is the way with any Assassin's Creed game, we act like a bit of a twat the moment we have some freedom in a village area, pinging up and down walls and rooftops, generally just being a menace. Then we return to our master and tell him how it went. Yeah, I kinda broke the rules, got a bunch of us killed, and we didn't retrieve the thing you sent us to get, so yeah. Our master is understandably pissed off at hearing this news, but before we know it, the village is attacked by the Templars. So now we get to the clunky, unsatisfying, unrefined combat gameplay. This is definitely the part of the game that has aged the most horribly, especially since I recently played Origins, which has incredible melee combat thanks to a boatload of games to practice with since. Here it just feels floaty, low impact, and the consistency of the blocking and striking is confusing. I know all of the AC nerds right now are thinking, well, it's a franchise built on stealth, not combat. Sure, but the game is making me take part in combat that couldn't have been avoided with stealth, so whatever. forever. Anyway, the Templars arrive at the gates, and to scare them into thinking we don't fear death, we show a bunch of our guys jumping off of a high point on the castle. The crazy trick here is that we put a bunch of haystacks underneath to soften the fall. Yeah, look at our guys jump from these things that really look like diving boards. Even though you can't see where they're falling, we promise it's to their death. Just trust us, we don't give a f. So now we get to use parkour to climb out of this area, and much like the combat, the parkour really suffers from just how much better it's gotten in other games. He climbs slow, directing him to the next spot to grab onto is clunky, and even though it was almost definitely my fault for forgetting the differences in climbing controls between this one and other Creed games, I managed to launch him off this wall an embarrassing number of times.
It's just you've got no chance, have you? If it goes wrong, it's not like a plane that glides, it just drops. It shouldn't be in the air, really.
Once at the top, we release a pile of logs, obliterating the enemy. Hooray. But don't forget, we still did all that stupid shit at the start of the game, so our master stabs us in the cock. But we survived the stab. So, as per the rules of the Assassin's Creed or something like that, instead of death, we're only demoted. Now, finally, we get some of the stealth gameplay that made the franchise famous. We gotta pickpocket this guy. What are you guys looking at? Me? Oh, nothing. Just carry on. I will say the stealth here is pretty solid. The pickpocketing, for example, to succeed, you have to get right up in the right spot to be able to slide a subtle hand in and walk away with the goods. So as a result, it does actually feel like you're trying to sneak up on this guy and grab something, and like it can go wrong at any second.
Good job.
Look, I'm gonna level with you. Going into this, I had every intention of finishing the game, and I played for a couple more hours, featuring some classic Ubisoft-style gameplay of riding a horse around open areas and climbing towers to scan the section of the map. We got to sneak into the city. There's some more unimpressive combat gameplay, some more of the stealth, which I did praise at first, but after the 5th time doing the same thing, it really doesn't feel like it's providing much new. I even got to do my first real assassination in the game, this guy. I know this is absolutely my fault, but it was maybe the worst assassination in the history of anyone playing the game. I mean, what was that? That's not how this game's supposed to be played, and I sincerely apologize to any AC fans who were affected by having to witness that. I'm also sorry because it was shortly after this that I came to the conclusion that I couldn't be f***ing bothered continuing the game. I can see its value for when it came out, but as I'd been warned before playing it, as much as it was a big hit and I'm sure awesome back in the day, the sad truth is not everything ages well. It also doesn't help that there's now been a ridiculous amount of Creed games in general, with all of these ideas reused and reinvented in much more effective ways. Now, I haven't actually played the Ezio trilogy, but people who have said don't bother with the first game have said that these 3 are still an awesome experience, so I'll definitely still be checking them out, and my hopes are high.
I'm done! You hear me?